Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, SuperCoach Pro. Today we have our guest, as always, SDS Steve. How you going, mate?
Always a pleasure to jump on, Brad. I'm doing good, mate. Hope you're doing well yourself. Can the Crows tonight?
Yeah, that's why I've got the Crom beanie on. I'm not a Crows supporter. Everyone knows that by now. But yeah, gather around and we're just discussing off air before the next year. Probably a good time to go do that because I've never been. I know you've been a few times, so
Yeah.
should be a good weekend of footy. But first player we'll get stuck into from
Hang
West.
on, I'll match you. I'll be back in 10 seconds.
All right, done. All right, while he does that, we're going to talk about O'Driscoll. Sure, he's going to get a Crom beanie as well. So random. For me, Nod is definitely a trade. It's a 4 to 6 week injury, and then they might put him into the waffle potentially, but you can't hold a guy.
Flag Crom. Yeah.
Is that George in the video?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can the Crows.
yeah.
All right, sorry. What were you talking?
Just saying Nod's just basically, in short, 4 to 6 week injury. You're just trading him out at this point.
Yes. If you want to loop, yeah, he's a trade. I'm actually holding because I'm like if I'm like 30k short of gone if I trade Nod instead of Sanders. So
Yep.
I'm just using Nod as a loop this week.
Yeah,
but yes,
so
he is a trade.
you got to get rid of him in the next week or two anyway, don't you? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, he's gone next week.
Next on the list, unfortunately, your boy Will Day. He's out for months, ironically, with that surname. But yeah, just trade off, isn't he?
No, not day to days, months to months. Heartbreaking is an understatement.
Yep.
This is my boy. And yes, he is a trade. He is a trade. You can go, just get Sarong, Brayshaw, Whitfield, whatever works with DPP. And he is a trade, Will Day.
Yeah, agreed. Next on the list is Fraser. This is kind of hard to pick. Like, we're so hot on them because of the way they performed early on and preseason, etc. Even with like an SDK type, but yeah, it looks like he's sort of one of that guys you can trade to Tommy Stewart next week, perhaps. You don't have to do it this week, but he's probably jump off, not maybe this week, but next week. But I can see the reason. Like, if you need to go up and get a primo, if you missed Riley Bice or something like that to go down to, here's your avenue to do it, then you would definitely do that. So probably a trade, mate. What's your thoughts on Fraser?
Yeah, I think it's a jump off. The role, from what I've seen, hasn't changed, but the 115 break even, just a hold in price, especially if you're saving up money for Tom Stewart next week or whatever the case may be, you need money. He's not a keeper. He is your ticket to Riley Bice if you don't have him. For me, he's a jump off before he just plummets.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then the next one is Finn Callahan. Probably a good list to have here because I've got a lot of these players. And Finn, I've come to my logical decision and I'm going to hold him just because there's nothing I can really go to. Like next week to Stewart, I can. If he really goes down again, I can just do Stewart to him in one shot almost, depending on how they both score, obviously. But I don't know. I just paid for this guy over the preseason. It wasn't even that round zero game. So I kind of want to back my judgment here. He had 3 or 4 free kicks against, which went against him. And so when he did get the ball a lot, his handballs and kicks weren't worth what they're normally worth on champion data. I'm not one to, point watch because I'm always in our group chats going, just let it play out. But this one, I only rode him because he was my captain. And for this game, there wasn't a lot of scaling for him because we saw Jesse Hogan and that small weird forward, I forget his name, but the one with the helmet.
Darcy Jones?
Yeah, Darcy Jones got a 164. So a bit of an anomaly in some of these scorings. If he was like 500k, you could do something. But for me, I just can't waste a trade this early on. I think I'm going to be logical and hold. What would you do as a Finn owner for this one?
This is a tough one because I think this is very much team dependent. This trade-off, I honestly reckon Callahan was a good decision for captain. Like the easiest midfield matchup, you captain.
Yep.
I didn't see a second in this game, so I don't really know what went wrong. But I think he's a hold for another week. I think Tom Green is getting windhagered. personally. I would just hold for another week, but I guess there'll be some teams in different scenarios. Like there's other things they need to worry about before Callahan, where there might be some other teams where Callahan's their main issue, and that's probably fair enough if you want to move off. So I would give it another week, probably in most scenarios. I think he bounces back this week. I think he could be good. So I would, yeah, this is very team dependent. I'm not opposed to trading if you don't have worse problems, and I'm not opposed to holding. So, yeah, I whatever works for your team.
Yeah, very team dependent. I think I might even jump off if Petrarca comes to about the same price in a fortnight's time and he gets forward status, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, next on the list is Luke Jackson. I probably won't delve too much into injury players. It's just a trade because he's got a hammy issue. He's worth enough money to jump on to somebody else anyway. He's on an awkward price, and you're not going to hold a primo that's injured at 500k, mate. So, yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it turned out to be a decent little starter pick, Luke Jackson, like it was last year. But 2 to 3 weeks with the hammy, most scenarios that's a hold. But now with I was speaking to Damo in this morning's live stream. I think Darcy is back this week, so that's even more of a reason to just move on. Just get a Sarong, a Brayshaw, a Whitfield, a Nas, whatever primo you want to go to. Or if he's in your R2, then I think a downgrade to Briggs or up to Gorn, I think are fine as well. Or even a Lloyd Meek at 530k. I think there's many different ways you can look to upgrade the side with using Jackson.
Yeah, totally agree. I'd probably use the Briggs option and bank myself 100k there almost.
Yeah.
Rosie, again, we probably thought Winhager was going to go to Butters, but Butters they probably thought was going to be underdone due to, not much pre-season because of his injury. So, Rosie is a hold for me. Like he averaged 107 last year. I have put him in my trade plans. I'm not saying he's a definite, hold, but if you've got no issues in your side and you don't want him in there, it's totally understandable. But for me, we saw what Horn Francis did the week before to us traders that did that. I know you held, but I don't want to have a Rosie next week that's out of my side and he goes 130 because he's showed in his first 2 games he won 130 back to back. And yeah, I don't want to be burnt by Rosie. Like if I have to, you get rid of these primos during the buys if I'm being logical, which is hard to come to your senses on a Thursday, but on a Monday you just want to rage every single player that shat the bed. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Rosie, mate?
I think he falls in a similar category to Callahan, but I would move on Callahan before Rosie, just because the scoring history is on his side. I think when the whips get cracking, Butters starts getting back to normal. I think Butters gets the tag before Rosie. I don't think Rosie. I doubt is top 8, but I with the 166 break even against Hawthorn that are a tougher matchup for midfielders than usual. I think he falls in a similar category to Callahan, but I do think Rosie's more of a hold than Callahan. So. Similar to what I said about Callahan, if you've got bigger issues, then you just hold Rosie. He'll be fine. Should average 100 to 105, really. If it works best for your side to move off, then that's fine too.
Yeah, definitely agree. I brought up this man on the screen just so we could look at his break even. He might not even hit this break even because there's 50 So he's actually been a failed starter pick, wouldn't you say? He's made no money really.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, no, this is a nowhere pick. So he there are plenty of cash generators hanging around. So if you got DPP, this is like very easy to do Riley Bice too. Or if you want to go down to a Clay Hall, this is a trade. I would be trading Finn O'Sullivan over Rosie or a Callahan. He was an accumulator in his draft year. You're not going to get burnt by this man. Trade.
Yeah, no, I agree. Next one on my screen, I'm about to lose my absolute freaking mind here. Never. So Chris Scott and his stupid medical team say it's a plantar. Now we know that Stuff Mills and all these other bloody players. Now he's back the week after. Watch Chris Scott tonight put him as sub, but I just traded this bloke out thinking he was never coming back for about 6 weeks. Got all these other players come back. Then he drops Closey, who luckily I never touch. So stuff you, Chris Scott. I'm actually getting pissed off at this pick. I'm never starting Geelong rookies ever again. If I've got to put up with Nevitt and players like this and he scores 100 this week, I'm pretty sure I'm going to make a drive to Belmont, wherever Chris Scott lives, and go egg his house. So, yeah, hold on to Nevitt. He's playing tonight and probably a sub. So, yeah, stuff you Cats players and Chris Scott, go to hell. Anyway, yeah, Nevitt, you're holding, aren't you?
Yeah, flag Crom. Anyway, so, yeah, and it's very fitting that the one Geelong rookie we don't have is Connor O'Sullivan, and he's locked in each week. So if he is sub tonight, I would probably trade because that cash gen is going to take far too long to get clicking into gear. But if he's not, he's a hold. Like we did that preseason research for a reason. If he's not sub, then he should be able to make a bit of money. So I did the same as well, Brad. Very frustrating, but I don't know. He looks good, Mitch Nevitt. So I hope he goes well. I would hold if not sub tonight.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. If he's sub, you almost let it go. But
yeah,
what do you do? It's such awkward price at 180 anyway. But Connor Stone, haven't really thought about this because I don't have him, but I didn't realise he's only made that much money. So break even of 24. If he's not sub affected, you probably just hold. Like he's only 166k. There's nothing in that. So yeah, for me, hold.
Yeah, if he is your worst rookie, then that's fine. Like he's another one that won't burn you, but this is just an extremely slow burn, Connor Stone. So I would, just hold and just hope for a 60.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then the last on the list I was just looking is Houston. He's not back to round 7 there, so he's just done dumb Houston things again. I hate players that just are so angry and get, wound up into like your Horn Francises and your players that just play on edge. And he's one of them that's been like that for years now. So, yeah, suspension, you're not going to – in best 18 you could hold, but best 22 you probably just got to trade him and maybe go elsewhere with this one. What do you think, Steve?
I think this is a hold. I think any longer than 2, I think any longer than 2, he is a trade, but he's not injured, no nothing. You just field a Reed, a Pryor, a Trainer instead of him for a couple of weeks. Use him as a loop. But Collingwood will play a lot of early games. I would actually hold, like he's likely top 6. 2 weeks isn't the end of the world. It'll affect you short term, but I think he'll pay off in the long run.
Let's say you use a rookie at D6 and he scores you 50 both weeks and you're expecting probably 100 from Houston. You're probably only losing maybe 100 points, but I don't know. Yeah, it is a hard one. Like you don't want to waste a trade, like you're saying, but maybe if you went down the value route, you could do something. But if you've got Bias and Trainer on the rookie bench, then you're okay. I think it's
they're fine to replace. It's a different story for the people that might have a pattern or a leak or whatever the case may be with a couple of these rookies. I think there's enough job security out of these rookies to hold for a couple of weeks. I think they're fine to field instead of Houston, and just I think the trade is more important than the 100 points. So, I'd personally hold.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And we're jumping onto the jump on players. Now, number 1 is Clay Hall, and our side has been discussion, 70 pods, minus 78 break even. Tim Kelly dropped to the waffle, probably never coming back. Just kidding. Apparently, I heard, I don't know, did you see that link as well, that Parfitt will get mid-season draft and play with Kelly, and that will make Kelly play better? About Hamish Brayshaw saying that?
Oh, gee, yeah, that would be a West Coast thing to do, but Parfitt's not much. I personally, I hope he's not watching. Probably not. I just don't think he's that much of a player either. Like, he might be good for the culture, whatever the case may be. But I think West Coast are just better going for a younger player there over Parfitt, who's just another list clogger, realistically. West Coast still have a few list cloggers on their side. They don't need to add to it. So anyway, back to Clay Hall. I think even with the Kelly news now, this is a definite jump on. Like, this is hard to pass up. This is harder than Murray's for me, in my opinion. Like, number one CBA mid last week gets named ahead of Tim Kelly. Like, I don't know. This is too hard to fade. Like, this could take you to the moon, this pick with those CBAs. So I don't think it's going to be miracle scoring, but I think it's going to be like the roll's just insane to pass up. So yeah, definite jump on. I would still have Riley Bice as the number one priority ahead of Hall, but I don't know. This feels like another boost week in my eyes for people.
Yeah, I think he's a jump on purely because he's the best cash gen player we've got for midfield. He's on the bubble. Then his fixture, he's got the easiest side to play against. Second easiest for midfielders is Carlton, apparently. Then he plays.
Really?
Yeah, Essendon he plays next, and then he plays the side that's about a fourth the ladder without Will Day and Hawthorn. So he's got three easy matchups here, mate. So
yeah. No, I'm crying my tears. 4-0.
Yeah, says me that we've won one game, and I'm now wearing a Crom beanie. Who we just 17. So times
we
go
through one bye, and I'm wearing a crow scarf. I just want to see my team play every week.
Literally. And the next player you were speaking about before, good segue, Bias. He's got even a negative break-even 98. It's better than Hall for 70k more. This guy was unbelievable. I'm not even joking here. I'm going to VC this guy. I've actually considered VCing him this week, but I think it's too ballsy. So I was going to go VC Bias into Brayshaw's C. But call me crazy. I actually think he's going 110 to 115 that Friday night game or whenever it is. But yeah, definitely jump on. He's looked good since I bought him in that 96, fielded him for both those scores. But it looks like he's kind of taken a little bit of that Roberts and Blakey role combined, like kickouts, intercepting. He does everything as a rookie, and I actually think he's probably your D6 or D7 at worst case scenario. I know it sounds wild to say D6 at round 4, but he's honestly that good. I think he actually could be your McKercher keeper type at the end of the season. So your thoughts on Bice?
Number one target. If you don't have Riley Bice after this week, you've lost.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. Ahead of Clay Hall, ahead of these guys, he could genuinely get to 500k. Like, he is last year's Sam Closey as a prospect for a rookie downgrade. Like, there's no excuse to not get him in. There's literally no excuse. So I know it's pretty blunt, but it just is. Like, you just have to get him this week. Boost anything, just get it done. And he is a lock rookie, and really, even if he doesn't turn out to be a D6, D7, he is probably the last rookie you have to worry about upgrading this season. You just hold him at D5, D6 until whatever the case may be. So, yeah, a 52 as sub is just mad. The 96, 124, he's just going to the moon. So this is a definite jump on, and this will be the biggest jump on, I think, all season.
Yeah, it's the points per minute, and you can see his minutes has increased every week as well here. But 1.3 is crazy. That's like Brayshaw numbers sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you got his minutes have increased from 94 to 103, so they're trusting him more in that back line as well, or being North, but still, like, he's just crazy if you missed him last week, but this week, if you miss him again, you like, what are you doing? So, Dudley, I think you're speaking to Damo of this sort of pick. I don't think any Fremantle supporters confident with Dudley at this point, so I'm probably going to sit on my hands and not go grab Dudley and hope he gets dropped in a week or two when, most of the competition have tried to grab him as your third most popular option. But small forward, what's that Freo player that I can't say it, Siskowski or whatever it is? Is he coming back?
Switkowski. I was speaking to Damo on the stream. He is back this week.
Yep.
So this could be this pick could be dead before it even started. There's a chance he gets dropped tonight or made sub. So Yeah, I believe his job security is in question tonight. This will be answered by selection tonight, but no, I don't think this is a pick. If you're really looking for a cheaper alternative, worry about Sandy Brock next week if you really like the 99k rookies. But no, I don't think this is a jump on it. A forward rookie would be nice. A decent forward rookie would be nice, but I don't think it's via Dudley. I think there's some others out there that could potentially be a rookie.
Yeah, agreed, mate. And then on the next on the list is Whitfield. He's just a jump on, just due to how good he is. He's probably D1 to D3 this year, so just going to keep it simple. He's a guy you can captain and VC every week. So yeah, jump on Whitfield, mate.
Yep, Whitfield is a jump on as probably the best primo to pick this week, regardless of budget. So I think he's a definite jump on if you're looking for an upgrade in the back line.
And saying that, honestly, as a non-Whitfield owner, I hope he gets tagged this week by Winhager.
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know how he'll go on the smaller ground, but it'll be interesting to see. I guess you're close to the ball, so more tackles, but not as wide of a ground.
Yeah, that's right. And then Soligo is actually one of my favourite picks. He's next on the list. How will you scoring 114, 108, 108, 126? He's not going to take you to moon with a captain every week, but at least you know he's a safe guy. CBAs have gone up since last year. He's pretty much almost that second banana, you'd say, just depending on what happens with Crouch this week, of course. But at worst, he's going to be third banana behind Dawson. I can't see Rankin or any of these other players getting more game time in the midfield than him, but he's probably not the most sexiest pick, I suppose, but he's definitely the one where you find at M8, he's going to sweep under the radar and probably going to get to 600k, and you're going, why didn't I go that route? But it's probably because he hasn't done that year before, so it's breakout year, probably going to finish around that top 12 mark, you'd think, but people are more confident in what they already know. So for me, if you need a cheap primo and you don't want Rosie, Ed Richards, Finn Callahan, and you're totally off those picks and you've actually watched some Soligo games, probably a guy you could jump on and you'd be okay with this one, mate. What do you think of Soligo?
Yeah, so I mean, this was just really the breakout that we didn't expect and we missed. Really, we were looking at Dane Callahan and some of these other options, but it was really Soligo was the ticket, where we just didn't see it coming. Like we thought Peatling would take CBAs, we thought Draper coming in would take CBAs. Laird moving out helps Soligo, I guess. But yeah, we just didn't see this coming. This seems fine. Like I think Dawson's just the more assured pick. But if you want to have fun in SuperCoach, having a pod brings joy. So I think Soligo's fine. This really seems to be the breakout year for him. So I think he's fine. I think he's fine to jump on. If you're sick to death of Rosie, Callahan, or you want to go someone via day, then I think he's good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then the next, probably not as popular, but this rookie has flown on the radar just due to Clay Hall type picks. Chavalia, a lot of Saints people in-house think he'll be sub, Steele comes back, etc. They don't trust his job security. But that's the most case of these rookies. I think if you bring them in anytime after round 4, round 5, they've all got shaky, or else they would have started round 1 anyway. But for me, I actually reckon he's one of those guys that actually play for most of the season, and people go, oh, nah, even as a Saints fan, I don't think he plays. But he's just got the talent to play. If he was probably 50 grand cheaper, we're probably locking him in more than a Clay Hall. So, yeah, I don't know why people are so cold on this, but it's probably due to the other rookies. But I'd jump on him if I really needed a rookie and I didn't trust Hall and he was named sub. I'd probably go this route instead.
Yeah, I think it's probably just tough at this point of the year to justify paying 170k for a rookie when you can get Clay Hall with a better role, better job security potentially for 50k less. So I actually think he'll be a good rookie, but it's hard to justify paying that price. His cash gen will be slower than Hall's and that sort of thing just because of the price. So I think he'll turn out to be a good rookie. I think he can get to 315k and have a serviceable 130, 40k price jump, but it's just hard to get all of them in at once. So I think it's a jump on if you've got room.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Especially like you said, if you got the room to do it, you just do it. Sinclair, same as Whitfield, Boat, really. Like these guys are probably top of their line as well. Probably paying max dollar for a guy like this now though, because his break even's 103. So just be aware. We paid up last year, well, some people did for Rao at 600k. Then he produced some average score. So I don't want to be paying probably 600 plus is probably where I call the line. That's why I want to bring in Brayshaw this week at 595. But yeah, for me, Sinclair and Whitfield this week, or else you just wait until they come down in price. So yeah, definitely Sinclair's an option. I just wonder who people are going off to grab these guys, if it's the Roberts or whatever. So jump on Sinclair, yeah, sure.
I actually wouldn't jump on. I just think this is too much when you can get Whitfield for 30k cheaper, who I think will out average Sinclair personally. But Sinclair's clearly top six. But I think it's probably better to wait and just wait for him to drop in price. I just think 640 for Sinclair, that's real top dollar stuff. Probably not. I don't know. If you really want to go for it, but probably just too much for my liking now.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point actually you make about that. Like you're paying premium dollar. Next guy is Will Ashcroft. I probably haven't thought about this as much because you got McCluggage, you got Neil, you got Dunkley before you want to bring in an Ashcroft. And if you're going to bring in one of those other three I've mentioned, do you really want to pair him up with Will Ashcroft? Yeah, sure went big against the last two opponents, but they're pretty general, easily to score against for Geelong and Richmond mids. For me, probably not, unless I really wasn't hot on Rosie and whatnot. But I just think he'll be your sort of M8 move. And what are you doing if you're picking him? I'd rather Soligo at this point because at least he's got probably a better chance of getting more CBAs. So for me, Will Ashcroft probably not at this price. Maybe 440 for Callahan price. Yeah, sure, but not now. What do you think about Ashcroft?
Yeah, I agree with you, Brad. I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen in that Brisbane midfield to keep up this type of scoring. I believe it has to be at a cost of a down game from Neil and Dunkley to get Ashcroft to spike. So I wouldn't. This felt like more of a starting pick because you pick these Brisbane guys because they had a good run to start the season, and that is fading. I think he'll go well again this week, Will Ashcroft, but don't know. I think I think I prefer Soligo just as a pod, just to go something different. I think the role's stronger, and I think Soligo and Ashcroft will score similar anyway. So probably better Soligo for sure. But I wouldn't. It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I agree. And then the next one on the screen, I'm being a little bit different. We've never done this in a pod before, but I want to bring up some
I didn't even know you
numbers
could do
here.
this.
Didn't you? Really?
No, I didn't know you could compare.
So I'm comparing Sam Darcy. So he's number 9 on our list for trade-ins, but I'm comparing him with Thilthorpe. Now, hear me out here. I know this is crazy. Everyone's on a Darcy train, but I'm actually more on the Thilthorpe train. So he's, 50-something K cheaper. He's probably doesn't got the ceiling as Darcy, but he looks like he has a better floor because he has more ruck hit out. So his lowest is 97 as opposed to Darcy's 76. But then you look at the ceiling so far, and it's what do we got? Where's his highest score? 141 as opposed to 114. But basically, they're both second rucks. They're forwards. Thilthorpe I like better because you go into Tex and you go into Fogarty before Thilthorpe. I mean, it might change during the season at some point. Darcy's 21, Thilthorpe's 22. I think they're both going to be, I know this is crazy too, I think they're both top 10 forwards, even regardless of Petrarca and Warner coming in. I think they're both good selections. I just think it's sort of that generational. We picked Buddy Franklin in their forward line for a few years there, and some other key forwards like Jeremy Cameron as well has been pretty good over the years. I think these two are where it's at. I really want Thilthorpe, but I think I can't do it with my team this week unless I boosted. But I actually like both options. And glad to know that I've actually showed you something in SuperCoach. You can pair any two players. You in the same stat line. Even if you did a defender in midfield, you can still do that as well. So, what do you think of Darcy or Thilthorpe?
I actually agree. I think they're both top 12, top 10 forwards this season. The only thing I would be it's more team structure based because we have a lot of good forward options, and if you want to, I feel like most of our forward lines are like relatively set, and we're very happy with like rank. Like some teams have Horn Francis, Rankin, McRae, Daniel, Smith in there, and then probably Davidson or even a Bailey Humphrey or Ryan Marich, whatever the case may be, at F6, where it's actually tough to fit them in, where you kind of want to go and replace your worst on-field option, maybe in the back line, in the midfield, instead of like trying to get a Sam Davidson off field when Davidson's perfectly fine in field. So I don't have any problems with Darcy and Thilthorpe. It's just the way the structure's panning out at this stage, where I think they're perfectly fine options. I'd probably go if you want to go this week. I probably would go for Thilthorpe over Darcy. I think just key forwards in general, like Darcy, at some point will drop back down to where Thilthorpe is priced. So it really depends on how you structure. If you're missing a Daniel or a McRae or a Smith, or I guess you might have some in the midfield. I think they're fine, but just see your structure first before you make a move. I do think they're both top 12 though. They seem to be the new key forwards that we target ahead of maybe like a Jeremy Cameron now or whatever the case may be. So I think they're fine if your structure's fine.
Yeah, that's right. You make a good point. Like, you do want to fit like an F5, F6 at a Chad Warner and a Petrarca, but at the same time, if these players that have missed on a Horn Francis or Rankin or don't trust those kind of guys, it's not the worst option you could go. Like, I think they'll match them almost. Next one on the list is Marek. I actually copped a lot of slack for this. I said I reckon it was a little bit too late to grab him, just determining on like if you actually think he's going to be F7, sure.
Was this in the team preview chat?
Yeah, it might have been. I can't remember what. I got a bit of heat saying you probably missed the boat, but then I listened to DR's channel and the boys like Janeth and all that said the same thing. So it was nice to hear a little bit of people also on the other fence, because at the start it looked like, bring him in. But I just think it's an awkward price. I wouldn't want to go not up to him. I see the valid reason why. I get the rolls juicy as well, but I think he only makes like maybe just under 100K from here on out. The backline rolls juicy, don't get me wrong, but Gov comes back in a week or two. People think it'll help you scoring, but I think it'll actually make it worse, to be honest.
Yeah.
He might look to use him more, but he'll get less kickouts. So for me, probably not a jump on. It's really hard because I've got him. I'm not saying I don't want other people to jump on. It's just a weird price. Like 260 was good the other week, but for me, can you sell me the pig on why you would pick him up at this price? What your option would be?
I don't know. It's a bit hard to sell it. I think this was certainly a pick where I think it's fine to trade him in. Like, I still think he can make 100K, which is probably what you look for when doing these sort of picks. The kick-ins are there. He does. I didn't see a second of GWS West Coast, but clearly the kick-ins are there. Looking at DFS, but if you watched the game, my guess would be that Marich was more accountable without McGovern.
Yeah, he was. He definitely was. But
or Harry Edwards.
Yeah, I think Marek was still like not playing lockdown as much, but he still had to be accountable. Whereas Gov, he doesn't have to be accountable for.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one.
I think this is. Yeah, you can bring him in if you like, but I think there's some bigger priorities to be had in other with other rookies and that sort of thing. But if Marich is your ticket to get, say you've got Davidson F5 and you've got Kako or a Stone or whatever the case may be, if you have a really bad F6 and you're looking for just a cheap guy to fill that gap, I think Marich is fine. But I'd bring him in if it works really well for your structure. If it doesn't, then you can probably just let that one go past the keeper. team dependent, I think, on your F6.
Great. And I just thought to finish up on this because I don't know if I'll get time to do a team review from the weekend. I cracked it because I scored like an 18.39. So if you haven't seen my video, it's not because I didn't have time. It's because I scored so badly and I've cracked it. I've done a Chris Scott here. These are my trades for the week so far. I've got Clay Hall and Brayshaw in for O'Driscoll and Power Pepper. Now, Power Pepper's got a break even of like 19 or 20, but you can probably produce that against Hawks, to be honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just need an extra captain option. I'm probably going to just hold on to Finn, and these guys are back throughout preseason because after watching Horn Francis and Cheese will go nuts on owners that traded him out, I don't want to do the same with Rosie and Finn at this point. Like, I've just used all this research, and why not just back myself and go one up? Because essentially I'm still grabbing one extra primo, and then I'll flick these guys during the buys if they haven't made any money. So I'm just going to upgrade from now on and be logical. What are your thoughts on these trades before we get out?
Yeah, Brayshaw's a good trade in. Freo still have a great run for a fair bit. So yeah, Brayshaw is good. Immediately becomes a good captain option this week as well. Clay Hall is the pick of the bunch for rookies this week. O'Driscoll, yeah, this makes sense. And what's Power Pepper's break even?
I think it's a 19 or 20, but he scored 18.
Yeah, it's a bit of it's just a bit of a nowhere pick. I think there's better options out there. So yeah, this is good. You're getting a rookie off field. This is a good play.
Yeah, and even into the team, I was listening to your guys' takes, and I'm probably going to do similar to you guys, Captain Brayshaw, and then just go TDK if you're not named with Pito as the VC. If Pito's named, what do we do? Do we grab Briggs and Flex at some point?
So if Pitternet gets named, then we panic for TDK next week. We just see how it looks this week. It's West Coast. But TDK could very much be a trade out if Pitternet's named. I'm hearing, I don't think we can say too much. I'm hearing mixed reports on whether Pitternet is in or not. So we'll just find out tonight. So, well, I won't do a preview, so I may as well tell you my moves as well for the crew out there. So at the minute, I'm VCing TDK if Pitternet's not named.
Yep.
If he is, I'm VCing Sheasel and into Brayshaw. And my trades are, so Damo has sold me on using another boost. So I'm going down to 2 boosts like you, mate. I am doing Riley Sanders, finally, Bo Allen and Matt Flynn for Gawn, Hall and Sardis.
Ooh, I actually like that. Yeah, Sardis is going under the radar just due to Clay Hall, really. Like, we didn't speak about him, but Caldwell's out for 4 weeks, so he is a good pick. Just to top,
he's got Melbourne, Collingwood North and West Coast in his next 4. It's like, I don't know. He seems to be probably a main cog in there. So, yeah, I traded him out a couple of weeks ago. But, yeah, I want Sardis back in. I feel like Hall – I was going to go Sardis over Hall, but Hall is just too hard to pass up. And then I think I'm going Gawn. The Flynn R2 nightmare is over unless he gets named, but probably not. I've lost faith. Bo Allen's dead. I'm so sick of this. And then Sanders, he's been a good boy over the past couple of weeks, but it's just a bit of a nowhere pick. So just finally moving off.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I think every week too, I've been looking at week scores in the VFL as well. So I actually had the VFL app just for my rookies that aren't playing. I
do the same.
It's good to use that so you know where you're going. But I think just before we head off too, the primos to target fixture-wise, like you alluded to, was Essendon with Merritt. And then you've got Noah Anderson and Rao that have got good matchups over the next few. So Gold Coast primos. And then there was another side as well. I think it was Fremantle, and that's why I'm targeting Brayshaw this week for the Richmond game and just captaining these primos and bringing them in with, a good 4-week block before everyone else can jump on it. I think that's where it's at this week. And Brayshaw's only owned by like 10 or 11%, isn't Steve? And I just want to be a part of those owners with you and Damo.
Yeah, Brad, it's good fun. It is just normal. It is, you don't have to worry about a tag. It is a bit of a joy owning Andy Brayshaw, and just he's tackling a lot more this year. I think that's the one thing I've noticed. He's think he's averaging 7.5 tackles a game. So he's just absolutely hammering it out. Doesn't seem to be injury prone. So I'll do the ranked at top 5%, and I'll tell you his ownership. I think he's 44% owned in the top 5%. So
Wow,
yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah, so it's a bit more than just your general, but he's a very strong option that has a really good run for a fair bit as well.
I always like looking at the most trade percentage too, like the hottest actual trade for trade point is, and it's Clay Hall to Adria Score at 7%. So there's a lot of moving parts in this. We'll probably leave the video here. I've got to go to work shortly, mate. But thank you again for your time and this segment as always. So you take care.
No, good mate. Keep it up with the live streams. I've been loving them. You've been absolutely killing it with the content creators out there. So I love the live streams, and hope. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to jump on Brad's channel. Make sure you subscribe before you leave. Good stuff, Brad.
Thank you, Steve. I'll leave it there, and I'll catch you on the next one, mate.
Have a good one, guys. See you.